launch to each other. We're playing with a ball, which are these sequence of mandalas that are like a super. It's a spore mandala that is in fact is a superstructure, if I understand well. And so we're just playing with this ball together in different ways.
Yeah.
So you don't need to prepare something. And at the same time, I think I'll have more time to try to clarify a little more about how to go to the real world. And that's amazing. Oh, bravo. Really, I'm wow. I'm wow.
Nice. Yeah.
Very impressive. Very.
At the beginning,
I see so much potential now. It's very touching. Very moving.
When I just at the beginning, when I just started to play around with my graphic design software and make, trying to, just randomness and get into it, but by following that at the beginning, it was called like subatomic particles, because I was following the description of displacement that Jean-Pierre Malher Garnier made. Well, he about his about his investigation. Yeah, about it was about fluids. Yeah, and how the displacement happens and all of that, and that's how I get into it. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's totally crazy.
It's physics. Yeah, it's physics.
No, it's beautiful. It's what I want, and what I really hope is that to share this with these people from Kernel and present this to Polygon and try to get funding. I hope like in a few weeks we can invite them if you want. But okay, so that's it's already 8:00. So, I mean 8 here in Europe. Don't want to.
Awesome.
Someone.
Yeah.
Okay, merci.
Okay, thanks. So, Streamer D, were you about to say something? Your voice relaxed me.
I was gonna ask Satoru actually, how did you make the connections within mandala? When it representing dialogues connected, for example. If it would be based on textual data, let's say, how would you compare like text?
Well, I think well, we did just briefly in the Magic Station. So we have the position, which is the 3 titles of the book, and then we have it's something Tinker Taylor shared about connecting what do you call it, a video when I first talked to Douglas Rushkoff, and then how it connects to him, and then how he sees Imaginarium. So there's a whole thing about that, and those are 2 different expressions of the same type of thing, right? One is more the actual details, and one is more kind of this ambiguous thing, which is the personal expression or the poetic expression. And so those are 2 forms of the same thing, but I think it kind of reflects kind of also to the different sides of the mind or whatever, one is more particle and more wave, and energy takes these different forms. And so that's how I first made those distinctions, and then played around with that, and then thought about meaning after that. And then after I do a couple of the sequences, which is the phases of the different spheres, then I started to think, we connect that with different meanings of things that I've been talking about, or things we've been talking about in dynamic energy budget, about thinking about cells, and thinking about bifurcation and thinking about like cycles and nestled cycles, and I think they all get like represented within that. But I think we build up the dynamics of that. First, it's the simple spore, which is one dimensional type of thing. But then, like what I was saying is like how we connect that meaning to how it gets represented when you like display it on the website. So the dashboard or whatever the interface, but also to like how we categorize things, and then like that's why I'm thinking about like what Imaginarium flow actually means, and like how would I want to even categorize that and stuff like that, which I'm working on currently. But so like those tiles later too actually mean like the two initial tiles will represent and will have meaning, Imaginarium flow. And so like that would be like when I posted the NFTs on OpenSea, I put as an attribute spore mandala. So just like a placeholder. Okay, that's what it's gonna mean, and then like from there I build out the capacity, and I think even too like doing which is mirroring what in the vacuum does is that symmetrical pattern of finding the reiterations of it, and then after that I think it's about like building out those dynamic like connections and meaning to it. So how later on, when you get this mandala, you could put it into the dynamic energy website, and then it will have like a different way it kind of represents it, versus if you put it into the Silence library, or versus if you put it into the Imaginarium, in that sense too.
Well,
and then also too, I think the tiles represent like fields and could build out different meanings.
What are the tiles? So number one, super interesting. Basically, that really is your personal mandala, and it connects to where you're active. That would be interesting, and I think that's exactly what a blockchain backend, if you will, a permissionless data layer allows you to do. Like take these traces with you, or connect those traces to wherever front ends you're using. That's quite interesting.
Yeah. And so just like briefly, the first experiment I kind of did to try to like figure out things was within the vacuum made a mandala out of present shock. And then the kind of thing that I want to emphasize in present shock is collapse of the narrative. It's the first chapter. And then quantum psychology, the non-local self, which I also think is important to emphasize when we're talking about Imaginarium flow. And then the next ecology of minds and antipoetis, which is kind of like this atmosphere that creates a concealance of energy into stuff. So that's what I wanted to embed in the first mandala that I experiment with. But I put it in the tile, which represents Sunflower Sutra, which is a poem and a drawing that I did that I gave to Within the Vacuum, which is the first experiment. So then I put it in the middle to create a tile or background tile. And then I have this that I put in to my hyperbolic spear machine. And you could create different patterns, which are like kind of different mandalas. And
so I don't want to just before we go into, I'm just too curious, but we should then start around. But how is it going to work for someone who isn't an artist, who doesn't know what this is like, and maybe who's even shy about crypto economics and the crypto economics flower because it's also overwhelming? Like, how will I start as a learner?
That's exactly what we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we discussed, saying that with dynamic energy budget, we should try to, come to life and experiment this approach with people that are not artists. That's exactly this idea of interdisciplinary.
Cool.
May I?
So yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Srimati.
May I?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there are like 5 more people compared to our last session. Thought about it. The time between and this peace project is a good context in general, welcoming people to blockchain too, using a expression of peace as a human right, but also it's simply right now about writing and reading to blockchain, some textual data, which could correlate between people, like scale of expression, if it contains demands, for example, or something more like less definitive but more have its own way. But also these connections are important there in the core, like acknowledgement of that. Also, what I want to give to maybe I can just show. Sorry, that's best, I guess. So here, oh no, it's already there.
Good to see you, Streamer D, by the way.
Yeah,
I didn't know if you were gone for some time or just.
Yeah, I was doing some freelancing, art freelancing for a living. So this is something I opened and we decided it's better with Creative Commons license, and it's a process putting people in this center of peacemaking and a scale of billions. So that, yeah, like maybe I should have. Okay, like these core attributes being decentralized, distributed, transparent, immutable. All we know about it, like, hey, there actually feels like Satoshi built it for that for me for some time. But then this is the one message here, last expression. It's a very simple contract, and it just building a chain of everybody expressions, so to say. Next is somebody refers to other. How? It is by transaction, basically. But it will be on the UI. So like this is the last one we see there. And you can write yours. Right now it's only text. That's what I mean. Like acknowledgements of others' expressions, like to be legitimate in the future, and attestations, same, of organizations like DAOs, for example. And then thinking of a escrow, like for states, so they can add their conditions, and unless it's satisfied, there not be a sign-in, kind of. That's what I'm thinking about, and it will be independent from, easily can be independent from network it's running. It can run in every network. All you need is we need is those values on the contract, and like their URLs, transaction IDs could be mapped easily, and those I think could be like spores, even if between people, but between networks could be something like totally spores. like something like from one area of a field to another area, or
and I think like one thing I really want to do is go through our collection that we have already and basically collect those examples. And I can imagine that how we see people have been reacting to others' curations and how those connections or even how those discussions actually brought new people into the conversation who then shared their connection to that one curation with another curation and so on. So that is something we have already seen, but also the ritual of signing a message and putting it on a blockchain forever. I think that can, depending on the environment and the experience, could also be something that creates connections or deepens connections.
I mean, in general, maybe there is no need for someone to like say something and won't really be there, but in this context, it's really something for me. It was a need. If you want it, we can also try like something like this for the library, and everything could be not permanently. It's saving anything. It's just writing, and only the last expression is saved within the contracts. Just one field here, string current expression. It's so simple. It could be multiple stuff with multimedia as well. It doesn't have to be an NFT even. I mean, for me, I don't want to change the nothing about consilience side, but for this one, it's like something like a petition when you look at it.
Understood.
And the other stuff. So I'm looking for support for this one, and I mean, I'm even feeling so good and thinking like everybody might be interested in that. So like, I don't know, like, what is that I need to do to achieve that? Maybe that could be so good help of you to help me take this out to world, so that world sees like some courage, and that courage is required minimum from each individual, and they can be do its expressions anonymously too, because it's blockchain, but it will just need some other challenges handled later. But yeah, that's I feel a bit responsible about it, but it's not like I'm not like um, cult creating a person like a messiah or something. It's just like just something that can be done viable so simply, and I just want to do it and start these industries, ironically.
That's what I love that project. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. It's a peace statement worldwide, unmutable, and yeah, I just have dreams about this happening, and and as
with NFTs like this, I mean,
yeah.
Have you shared it? Have you just shared it and tell like how people can use it? And the thing is, it's interesting, Satori says, "Hey, I put this mandala," and then I think we really need to get started with the agenda, just to make sure that people are who are here because of the what was announced. I don't feel like they're dragged into something else, but just my observation is that you know you do something, you create something, you put it out there, right? And then streamily what I hear from is like, okay, this is something everyone should be as excited about it as I am, but I'm not the person who's going to go around and make people excited about it. Kind of, if I don't know if I'm paraphrasing too much, but that's exactly what I see is the gap, and what I try to I call it
I can't hear
translation.
you very well, Salsista.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's cutting.
No, it's just I told it. I mean, this is since a week like this, but prior to this, since just before 1 month before stuff happened in Ukraine started, I started all this. But after that, I was thinking like, why it's not really taken a bit serious. I mean, not the project I'm talking about. It can be anything. Everybody can come up with something, and that's what I want to motivate and make it like sexy, like. But,
But that's
but
exactly what I mean. Like, how do you make
it's just
people know about it, right? How do you make people? How do you? And that's the thing that we know is marketing. And what I just wanted to say is like I feel you. It's exactly this gap, right? Making people aware of something of worth and valuable, and then maybe even nudging or just lifting a wheel that they say, hey, this is really so easy. I could be interacting with this new technology, and I could be standing up for free speech and peace. Like it's really powerful, right? But
just whoever you can connect me, I would appreciate. I'm using all my connections. Like, I mean, just told everybody, but I don't believe I'm doing in a good way, or because I'm doing, it's not happening as well. Like, there could be many reasons, and even there was some guy from South America now in Canada, like working on peace projects and earth and nature and all that. He just didn't read it much, seen blockchain there, and then came. I told like, hey, it's on testnet. It can be forever in testnet. No need for money, for example, unless it's. I mean, if it's stable and stuff. But he just told like, hey, I don't have nothing to do with money. I'm just peasant. Like, I should really convey that, and it should be more of organizations that should be backing this, and that's why I'm like sticking to who I am, aligning with, and these are something I take really serious, but not like a. It's just I'm so observer. Like, what can someone or some whole generation can achieve most impact? Like, what's not done yet? And for all the other problems to solve, I take peace as a baseline and gonna apply what I learned in Graviton, and I would say all people here could just I don't know, would feel what I feel about this. And yeah, it's just I'm excited since 1 week I got that revelation, turned this to a contract, and now it's using really core principles like one ledger and nothing infinitely written there. It's just in the transaction history. And that's what it is. Peace gonna be something like that. Yeah, that's why it's a research project. I'm writing some peace organizations, but I'm telling you, maybe it's better you review what I write or say like, hey, this is bullshit. You don't write like this.
oh no,
But
I'm
any
so
kind of
in.
help
Like
helps.
if people, I don't know, if anyone came here because of the announcement of the World of Worldviews games, but maybe we could actually test this because you know I'm totally in the mood for this to be honest, because I'm already kind of on vacation and actually will be on the road for the next 4 weeks, and and it is exactly like in my vicinity there are just so many so good projects, right? But they're lacking coordination, because ideologies, like when you say peace and how to get peace, people's vision of that are sometimes diametrically opposed to each other. It could be having impact, it could be less CO2, and someone just wants to put solar rooftops on every building and so on, and the other one is wants something else. So I see this, what the Ethereum meme or some people in Ethereum memified or brought in Moloch, you know, the monster of human coordination failure. That's standing right in front of us, like it's taking part in this call for sure. Because you know, on the other hand, making war is so much more lucrative. It's short-term profit. It's minting money, you know. And what is it that you're proposing? Like peace, something abstract. Of course, everyone wants to be peaceful, but even if people look at their lives, like how much peace do they experience every day or not? So I feel it's huge, and I would love to use this time to actually make a round to discuss this. Like this is, for me, this brings up this tension, and it's so palpable.
We were talking about
Actually,
that earlier.
It's a bit about people kind of taking over decision making on this very subject. Like it's only between entities, and it's not even a progress. But this is kind of progress where people initiate and then states seal that. You can think of like a change.org petition, but on the other side, it's specific one. And as far as I thought, with a couple of friends too, but the most like effect of it could be, I want to mention that, or not so sure and not feeling so safe about it, but I expressed in one example. But I think, I mean, the project in my imagination can only success if all countries disarm synchronously, not like one country gonna start because their citizens want it. It should be observed, and there will be a reward system if people from existing as enemy countries are declaring peace between them, saying like, what the fuck, we don't feel like there's a war, or we don't like, you can do it in the existing all European cities, like so cosmopolitan everywhere, from people living peacefully. It's just reflecting that. And problems in the world are actually artistic problems. It's been an problem of expression. For some centuries, it's still, but now it's reflection. What people really want is not there. In others, yes, it could be requiring resources. Maybe I cannot help others, but sharing of rights in a very like this scope and context could help. Saying like, hey, we will just opt out from giving tax to defense or any violent activity, or investments in the companies, and create like new peace indexes, observatories, like really civic ones, not just saying, hey, nuclear is bad but conventional is good, or hey, you just reduce the damage of nuclear like 1 kilometer, it's good. No fucking way. I mean, my father was a soldier. I mean, he just heard this and cool about it even, like there is no I mean, I will kind of try to make it a way that people can just use it, you know, all the wallets, all the networks. It's scalable by design. It's just referring to transaction hashes in any chain, and that means something. I'll just get along the text some like country information or citizenship from people, and the point everybody can be proving their uniqueness in the system. It will just be a self-manifesting civilization. And then it's all about this actually. I'm looking to my generation, all generations too, like all generations. It's not like they want to use the weapons right now in the future. You know, if that's gonna be in 50 years, I just want it in 5-10 years. I want to see those days, and I want people to see it. And that's not like I don't find it. If that's a selfish one, that's the only selfish part in this whole project. Like I don't want to be seen like I said, the other way around, or populist, or this or that. I just.
Why did you say you didn't feel, or what part didn't you not feel safe about?
Yeah, like writing the most effective part of it being everywhere disarmament and opting out from tax for defense. But for that, I'm thinking of also adding in the expression, say, if you would not give tax for defense, for which causes you would use those resources.
Yeah.
It could be something.
At
Like,
SCC, I was talking with Stellar, and she actually researched, and the money that people pay yearly for candy, you could create amazing things with those funds. It was, I don't know, Jean, if you remember what was, but it's just, you know, it's the amount of money where you say, okay, something else is wrong. It's not where just the funds flow. I think it's where people's attention go is more important than funds. So at the end, you know, we're actually at this level of human to human connection, and that it's actually in everyone's power to make this change. And if you don't see the change, then we know we are part of whatever is wrong, right? And like this, I'm not saying, so I'm sorry if I just want to get deeper into what is it, where should we really, like the lever, it doesn't seem like, hey, if we just fund the right thing, if we just make money flow to the right part, if we just tokenize this, then everything is going to be solved. I think that's too superficial. And this amount of money that people on Earth pay for candy every year, that makes this absurdity of where funds flow and why so obvious. You know, it's
But
yeah.
if I can say something, the idea the idea of solution, of looking for solution, might be questioned. You know, if we talk about, as we discussed earlier, if we talk about living and interacting, it's not about solution anymore. You know, it's more about connection, or connecting within and outside. So I think we can even question this idea that we are looking for a solution to a problem, even if it's peace.
it could be to remember the fundamental function of human beings on Earth, right? Like I was saying earlier about, I read a lot about decision making, and it's funny because, exactly in that specific point is where all the mistakes are made. Like when you made a decision about in an infinite amount of options. So if we are able to learn how to wait and still onto the option that is the real one, that the grows from within, it could change a lot of things. Like to learn that, and that's why I built that structure following those patterns, because it emerged from the vacuum, emerge from your point of connection, and grow from you, and with a backup from reality also. It's not just your idea and your thought, and you trying to, okay, this is my decision, we will do this. That is very dangerous, and it's actually what makes us to look for solutions after that. After that, we decided that, okay, this is the decision, and I can't see that in nature. I can't see that. I see uh, the pattern, and how that pattern grow in a balanced manner. And so yeah, decision making, it's tricky. It's very tricky.
I mean, can I interrupt you for that? Because do plants do make decision? You can see some plants, for example, that are growing around an obstacle, and they do make decisions, and animals as well.
But the decision is embedded in their design. They just following what is going on from the inside. It's not like like we believe like, okay, I will do this because in my particular way of view things, I believe this is the best choice. It's embedded, it's natural, and that's why forests are so successful, and all the nature, the cape of nature and the earth is so successful, because it's part of their behavior. So they don't make the decision. The decision it's obvious for them when they need to overcome some whatever, like problem or obstacle.
It's the next adjacent possible, but then also from all the possibilities, from all those possible paths, right? So I was always, or the start of this Talklands during philosophy channel in the other community, and then Omega was actually the being in search for a compass. And today I read something in which it was mentioned the moral compass. And I'm like, oh my god, that's where I got the name from, the compass, and it's tilted more towards the religious and maybe more spiritual. But the idea of a compass, that you know the right thing to do, right? Um,
Yeah, that's
that's such
it's
an old. I think
yeah,
that's
it's
the
about
human
logic.
condition.
It's about logic, the logic behind the decisions. Like I was saying earlier about well, when I was as an example making this new album I'm gonna release. So after the engineering and recording, I have to mix, and let's say I need a new. I want, or the song is asking for some kind of distortion, and then in that moment I went to the library and looked for some distortion. I don't buy all the 10,000 distortions and see which one, like it's a different reasoning of what are the needs in the moment of that specific situation, and we humans tend to think, okay, I'm gonna have all these options. Options are infinite. What we need to know is what we really need in that specific moment for that specific thing that we're doing, and that only can be perceived as from the inside. It's not. If a plant decide from their own perspective that she will move this way, it could change the whole balance of the forest, right? Because the particular because the plant decided to move because she wanted to do it, but it's not the way it works. Actually, it moves because it's is asked by the entire forest to move.
Amazing view. That's
it has to do, in religion, it has to do with, self, the ego, that, and all of that. Like, how can I know? It's related to it, but you can see it in nature, and it's so very, like, easy for for them to do it. But we think that we're making decisions, particularly, like being this small in this.
But when I then get back to streamer these concern, or like peace, why not? It's such a good idea. No, why don't people buy in, or why shouldn't it spread like a wildfire? And that reminds me of the scene in the Bhagavad Gita, and I still don't understand, like, why is this all this war making and death and suffering and making Earth suffer as well? I mean, these fires all over the world, it's like, it's super sad. It's our home is burning, right?
Yeah, but
and this home and this infinite nothing of the universe. So why is it still such a good idea to make war and to dig up more oil?
It's
a business. It's a business.
I have an option as well. Not because it's a business. It's a matter of centralization. It's when you are at an individual level. Usually, you don't make. Like you. This is what I was mentioning on Monday. That when you have, very often you can have countries that are in wars, but you have individuals that are okay. I mean, it's not always the case. Like when we had the Hutu were killing. In Rwanda, the war. I mean, sometimes you have people are brainwashed and they go individually, but most of the time, individually, you are in peace and in a country level. So we can think about it from a centralized, decentralized. So maybe you can have decentralized peace and centralized war.
Yeah, the world decentralization.
Yeah. Yeah, I really don't know anything about war, but I think I know a little bit about peace because my country doesn't have an army since 1949. So, and we're doing at least okay. But we have peace. And the reasons why they abolished the army are tricky also. But yeah, I think that statement worldwide is very important to have it out there, because it affects the psychic of the global mind. It will affect that, and that aspect of reality obey to logic is not about anything else. When logic appears, it just is like a domino. It will follow naturally.
It would, yeah, some avalanche maybe for, I mean, some snowball can be for like a, hey, maybe could be some turn to an avalanche that could treat then global mental health.
Yeah.
I don't believe anyone that's in the healthiest mode, as world says, let's say, their base mental health is something that could become, like, nothing to do with that compare. Like, if there would be no wars, stress, like people don't have to lock their doors or something, that's another thing. But this might it is a wicked problem. And also for decision making, I would like to say it's gonna be how people decides. That's the decision making part. But wise people together. But it's also a bit a project kind of one assumes that peace is not something to vote for. Like, I wouldn't give, hey, who you are hating, just write those countries. It's kind of expecting everyone to treat everybody equally, like not enemy, ally, kind of, just like embrace the civilization. Not, I seen so many things are relating to locality, but if everything is only focuses on local solutions, then we might not hear each other. Yeah, a bit.
Nice. So it's interesting. I didn't know we would get here, but actually, when I put on the agenda, I don't know if you have seen it, but the token engineering ethics. One of the things that we finished is this hosting multiple worldviews, and it's exactly this point, Streamer. Like locally, when people know each other, when you're in a village, you're tied by very close social norms, right? It's like you don't let the others down, and you don't, like there is this trust because, or there is this investment in the others because you're going to see each other every single morning. And that is what's missing in these global networks. But at the same time, I think we're waking up to the reality that actually, we this is us. We're like, this is us on Earth, and we're facing each other every morning. Even if we're not, participating in synchronous calls, whatever is done somewhere is affecting others through ripples. But especially when you're designing these global permissionless networks of value, and for example, you're showing, as you say, a very simple version of it. You just put out there, and anyone can sign a message and put on blockchain, right? Now it is permissionless. They could be sending hate messages, right?
Yeah.
And actually, this is also what we're seeing. Like literally every AI that is being trained on data from the internet turns out racist, right? Sexist. The worst AI lord you could ever imagine is what we're training. And this thing is, the algorithm trains from the data that us humans are leaving on the internet. So this is exactly the core point. We have these options.
Yeah, that part's, but also proof of personhood, uniqueness, and that kind of um, technology is gonna help, especially in this one. That it cannot be denied. That's the power of blockchain. I mean, if there are like 2 billion people stated that, or even 1 million, it will be seen like, hey, what the fuck is happening? Like, people people gotta feel responsible there. But there are this attestation part where we, upon that, it's either maybe people, but more likely some DAOs or organizations that decide by using their technologies or like sentiment analysis. For example, imagine Consilience library, right? I mean, it could be a base training data like what is peaceful and not. It's like pure peaceful, you know. I mean, probably gonna be moderated, and those kind of moderated content could become feed for such automation. But you know, like what matters is, hey, even there's a hate there, this system totally have a should or gonna have some budget to help those people. Really, I would say that's the whole existence. A reason, like giving
that hate comes from someone's experience. You know, a person on this earth is literally experiencing that, and it's the only feeling they're capable of. And the thing is, you can't just uh, actually token economy. If you Google it on Wikipedia, you land on a page where they treat schizophrenia and basically where people who are institutionalized in the medical term are helped to behave better, right? So, and that is, I think that's not where we want to be or go, because
no,
that's
not
been
that.
done before, and it's not sustainable. It's maybe because it hurts and so many people are suffering. Maybe they are like, okay, yeah, give me money to be good, and I will be good, or give me tokens, right? Because like the suffering is just not actually, it is as worse as the hate they're feeling. But the other point is really like there is the source, and there is this individuated dot, or node person in the system, and
Could be
need to accept
created
that.
from, you know, Ubuntu culture, like someone
Yeah.
does something in their community. Maybe it's even something unforgettable, or I don't know how that scales, but they bring a person to their inner circle and try to you know, calm them down and tell them what they done before, like so well or something. So it could be also like that people can that person I mean, this is a smart contract, let's, after all, it can be moderated. There could be a, you know, I mean, people upon their hateful speech would be taken out, and then not I mean, others could show interest to kind of talk to them. I don't know, like maybe that's the thing. Whoever can do this, peacefully gonna be probably counted. The others not. And we will be counting something, and that will be the main part, and those will be excluded in such. So it is given equal chance to everybody to go in a stage equally, and like as last expression could be theirs, and then it's going in the transactions and gonna be reviewed more or less more intentionally, and what they contain, like they could be represented as some mandala or flower, so you could say, hey, it contains hate, some color, I will not open it. Or it contains some cool, really strict demand from their state around this one, like, hey, I'm opting out from this tax kind of stuff. Oh, then how many of those exist? And are people still feeling safe about saying stuff like that, even they're anonymous? I mean, I want anonymity to be power of this one, not to make, trolling around. That they will exist, but they will not having effect on how things progress. Like, hey, that's side effect. It will be, and I'm not claiming like there will be no wars ever, like in some term, unless or like people not gonna die using weapons. It will be there. It's just country level anonymization is something we can get rid of somehow, or challenge democracies as is, like how reflective you are. Are you really like, ready to? They could go into escrow, like showing intention, and it could wait there forever unless their opponent country is not there, not also deciding to that, going into that pool luck. Then they are safe. No, like, but by being there, going to that using that escrow, it will mean that they are reflecting to their citizens. Otherwise, it's a challenge for them. But when you look at it, like people that expresses these years will become the ones that living in 20, 30 years. So it's all cool. If it can bring that closer, that will be the success and metric points. And that date, something is undefined and we wouldn't know. It might not even possible, but it's all about trying it at the end. And I think it wouldn't be possible before blockchain. That's why I want to dedicate this to Satoshi. Yeah.
So it's the transparency as well as the anonymity.
Yeah.
No, it's quite it's obviously very appealing, and I think all of us are here because of these values, right? At the same time, I always grapple with the issue of how do you bootstrap this, and as soon as you say countries, I'm like, no way. But maybe that's because I grew up in Germany, and rules and Staatskunst and what have you, and rules and regulations and lawmaking, and also seeing like how much people are valued as citizens versus as consumers. That has been a huge shift. And I guess that the first shift back should be really starting there, right? Being full citizens again and not just consumers. Because obviously we've been giving away power through that. Yeah, but I'm curious whether voting is like, is that really the only the only solution we get to?
It's not voting, that's the thing. It's just expressions and acknowledgements and their statistics, like how many from which countries people were maybe. I mean, that only counts really some actionable. I mean, good action when you could, which will be also rewarded. Let's say peace tokens or wisdom. Like if you can say like, hey, I will accept everybody equal, or I will, yeah, and then depending on your country's situation, if there some country that only have enemies, then it will mean something. If like 5 million people in Russia and then 100 million people, I don't know, just saying, would say that, then it is that guy has nothing, no power. So it's like something to requiring to bypass autocracies. Otherwise, that people cannot express themselves. I mean, not in demonstrations. It doesn't even so much important in one sense because it's always more people having problem in one cause than they're on the streets. Like if there are like million people out there, then it's like maybe 50 million people suffering from that, but not really going there. And I also want to say all the world going on like acknowledging, signing, and like all the capitalism as well. So like that should be put some point where one country or one NGO really recognize those people's actions. Then yeah, and they could on the consumer side as well. The companies working in these sectors could be invited to reduce their investments, and yeah, that could be rewarded. So it's a peer-to-peer peacemaking, and those peers are not only billions of people. They're like 4 types, 5 types, like individuals, communities, like DAOs or organizations, associations, and companies, corporations, kind of, and states. More like first 2 is pro-peace, last 2 is cautious or really pro-war. That's why we need some incentives to create some behaviors. I wouldn't do it to any people except this reason. Yeah. That's how a civilization gonna be civil actually. Otherwise, we shouldn't call it civilization, or it will be always only representing a progress that never ends as a civilization, literally like the word, rather than yeah.
And what about the peace tour with bands where people set up an expression and get a ticket for the festival and all of that? It's huge.
Of course. I mean,
yeah.
I even edit myself manually lots of artists or quotes saying about peace already, but the effect if they would do it like here as well, and that would be some it's all about, I think, a focus around this subject and nothing else.
I would love to. I want to continue this, but I'm already 4 minutes late into the next call, which I shouldn't be waiting this person because he wanted to catch up with me for so long. That's why I am going to make a quick run out, but I'm super interested, especially the last thing that you said, like about the peace movement or movement in general, including dance. But actually, it relates to what I just wanted to do today in a much better way. I will just share the worldviews practical session, and maybe we take like today's warm up almost. I would say like how are we going to use this technology that is self sovereignty, enabling autonomous or pseudonymous and transparent ledgers that helps us keep track of our transactions, of our self-expression, and actually show what is important, for example, right? And then at the same time, seeing this polarized world that we live in, you know, at the same time you're looking forward to your summer vacation and you see everywhere the world is burning, and this is like the small small tragedies, right? And this world of worldviews games is more like figuring out and understanding and accepting that all these worldviews exist, and about how are we going to engineer systems if we're even able to do so, and maybe understanding the limits of knowability and the limits to engineering, because more and more we're getting into the realm where it's more human-centered and nature-centered and less literally man-made system like engineering a power system. A power grid is very easy, although it is critical infrastructure compared to this, what we just had the opportunity to exchange a bit about in the last hour. But this world of worldviews is basically, you know, putting a topic like peace, and I think it's a huge topic, but I was just amazed how easily we could converse about it all of a sudden. You put it in the middle, and then as a group, you commit to play this game where you change your worldview from, if you enter the world from door one, you have this command and control worldview, and this is, you know, linear ordering, hierarchical, authoritarian, benevolent king. This is your worldview, how you see peace and how to keep peace, how to make peace. And the door is polarized options. Maybe this is how I started, right? And the conservative and logical positivism.
I love this.
Me too. And door 5 is you enter with a liberal worldview and you see yourself from a place that is generative, that you can steer towards better options. And that's your philosophy. Like, this is how you see peace. Door 6 is possibilities. Door 7, you see patterns. And door 8 is you come with the insight that it's always an indeterminate version of this universe you're inhabiting, uncertainty and limits to knowability. Like, and from each and the game would be such that you and your group maybe are shuffled or within the same group, and I think shuffled may be better, but you enter this world from different doors, and every time you look at peace, but you then have to change from, I don't know, from the worldview of opposites to the worldview of possibilities, for example. And the goal would be not just to have a really interesting conversation. It's a bit moderated, maybe because everyone gets to talk and share, and everyone gets to LARP a little bit, you know, take on a role, and maybe also test their ability, their flexibility as well. But then the idea is at the end of this rotation, maybe you can't do all 8 worldviews, but maybe 2, 3 are enough already. and the group each time comes together and shares, what the small groups in how they entered the world and saw that big topic, and how they conversed among each other, and then coming together in the plenary, that people or these small groups exchange how they saw a topic from the different worldviews. That could be, or that is something I'd love to establish. And I don't know if you'd be game for it, but if we started this after the summer break, if we had a round of World of Worldviews game with this topic of not just peace, but as Streamer D put it, like how are we using or we want to make use of these technologies to create awareness and action towards peace, and how would such a wish translate in all these different worldviews. I'd love to do that if you'd be game, and I'll just write later on. And maybe Streamer D, you can also share like what you had. Maybe we can make this into a nice invitation. And
yeah, of course.
Cool. So thanks everyone. I need to rush out. So and the next couple of weeks, I'm guessing we will have a summer break unless you wanted to convene and discuss, or keep your meeting schedules as you wanted, but we won't have a regular weekly call until the week of September 12th, which will be September 14th. But I'll also update that. Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Take good care, everyone. And also, if anyone is missing the payouts from the Token Engineering Consciousness Library, please message Mert and me in the Consilience thread, and then we'll talk about it. It should have gone out by now. Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.